Okay, to talk more about where China's economy has been, where it is heading, we are now joined by Yan Liang. She is the chair professor of economics at Willamette University. Welcome back. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Sean. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Now, China really had its economy kick into high gear in the final quarter of 2024. Those last three quarters coming in, what, 5.4%? That's pretty healthy. So break it down for us. What does it mean? And is it a sign, a very solid sign, that the government's many stimulus measures are working, are taking place?
Right. I think you're right. I think since September, we have seen a slew of policies, right, including monetary, fiscal, and some of the specific housing and stock market support kinds of policies. And so really all these help to boost the confidence of the market and also really bolster, the economic momentum. So we finished this whole year, with a 5% of growth rate, which is remarkable. When you think about, the size, of course, matters. This means China basically added a $1.2 trillion worth of GDP, and that's equivalent to the entire economy of Saudi Arabia or the Netherlands. But I think, other than that, really important in terms of the scale of the growth, I think more importantly, we need to look at really the quality, right? When it comes to really the industrial transformation, when you look at high-tech manufacturing, that has grown much faster than the overall industrial output growth. And as the reporter also talked about, when you look at China's exports, you really see that improvement in the trade structure. And also green transition, and that's also very important.
I think as you mentioned, this is a year China really made a strong push to shift gears, the focus being on higher quality, greater innovation. And you and I have talked about this in the past, and China has been successful. So what does it mean? Is this a really solid foundation for the future, a way that China is going to basically guarantee it has a way to grow throughout this century?
Right. So I think guarantee maybe it's a bold statement, although I think I am hopeful, I am optimistic. I think, as the spokesperson of the National Statistics Bureau talked about, China has really a good, solid foundation of the economy. When you look at the infrastructure, the complete supply chain, you look at all the tail-end dividends, and you look at also all these sound policies and really strategic, I think, visions of policymakers. So I think, all these will help to push China's forward, and not to mention this shifting gear, as you mentioned, from high-speed growth to more really appreciate the quality of development. I think that is more important. But that said, we do know there are a lot of external challenges, and domestically, China has been emphasizing that the economy has undergoing this transition, right, from the old model to the new model.
Right.
And so also with the external challenges, I do think that policymakers need to remain vigilant, and people also need to really, get their resolve and their hard work together to continue to develop the economy forward.
Now, China also has a robust trade agreement with just scores of nations, and we very much live in a global economy. So what are some of the international factors that are benefiting China right now and also have the potential to weigh the nation down?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the positive aspect is that China is really committed to the high-level, high-quality opening. So China has taken unilateral measures like reducing tariff rates for the least developing countries, and also provide visa-free, transit-free to 38 countries, and so on and so forth. So all these help China to integrate itself into the world economy. But not only that, I think China also really forged really strong ties with the global South countries. When you look at trade, for example, in 2024, China's trade with the BRI country grew by over 9%. And now the BRI countries' exports share is more than 50%. So it's 50.9% of China's total exports. So what that means is China is really diversifying its export destinations and rely less and less on the Western economies like the Europeans or the Americans. And so I think this is very important to, in a way, hedge China against all these rising protectionism tides in the Western economies.
Indeed, the global South is going to play a key role moving forward. Now, also, for nearly a year, the government has been urging more and more internal consumption from people across China, buying big-ticket items. But is it working? Because we've heard people talk about the fact that it's just hasn't materialized the way that the Chinese government has wanted to see it.
Right. So again, I think a lot of the commentators believe China's consumption is very weak. It's almost sort of collapsing. But I think again, that's no further from the truth. If you look at, for example, household disposable income this year, in 2024, it actually grew at 5.1%, which is slightly actually higher than the GDP growth. And when you look at the bank deposits, during the COVID years from 2020 to 2024, the households added about $9 trillion worth of bank deposits. So what that means is that it's not the households don't have the money to spend,
Right.
unlike, again, some of the people would say it that way. But yes, the confidence could be further bolstered. And so that's why I think the government has rolled out a lot of these consumption supportive policies like the trade-in program,
Right.
which basically, bring up, 1.3 trillion yuan worth of sales, since September when the policy was implemented. So I think it is helpful to have this kind of direct consumption support policies. But of course, the policies go beyond that. We also see the increase in the pensions, increase in public sector workers' wages, and also, income for the low family income sort of supplement, and also the talks about raising minimum wage and so on and so forth. So I think the government has been, taking really these very forceful measures to boost domestic consumption.
Now, we're kind of tight on time here, and using your educational background, gently scolding me for earlier saying that China is kind of guaranteeing its future. What do you see China's role in the global economy as it moves into 2025?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. China has been contributing to 30% of the global growth, and in the next few years, it will continue to contribute at least 22.6%, which is double, by the way, the contribution by the United States. So I think China is going to continue to do what it's doing the best, right, to grow its domestic economy in a sustainable way and also upgrade its economy. And at the same time, China is going to continue to engage, with the global economy, especially with the global South, right, through BRI, through the Global Development Initiative, and so on and so forth. Because the belief is that we could all have mutual respect and win-win cooperation, and this is, I think, what China has been emphasizing, this shared future. So I think this is going to be very important for China to play a very active role in that global economic landscape.